Boom. I think I'm live. I believe I'm live. I think I need some music. You know, I was thinking as I was prepping for today, I wanted to have some like, you know, something to intro this new segment. So NFC Live, boom. And I just realized my lights behind me are not on. So how about I switch them on? So watch this. We're going to do a little bit of the magic. Sorry, you got my back, everybody. This is going to go on the video, which is embarrassing. I apologize. Bop! That looks so much better, don't you think? Welcome, everyone. Woo! It's good to be here before you all. This is the whole new concept, which, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what evolves from this. But check it out. So I've got this camera here, and then I want to flip when I'm showing off something new or whatever it may be. We'll flip to this camera here. And I'm even thinking we should have a third camera so you can see the details of these bottles. All right, so let me just do a bit of shout outs to Fred. Welcome. Good to see you here. Let's have a look. We've got Orlando in the house. Let's have a look. Actually, Joel, hey man, good to see you guys. Mercedes from Spain, good to see you. Welcome. I'm actually thinking, I know this is tough for the Aussies. So 9 a.m. Monday morning is, I mean, it's the start of the week. Nobody wants to go anywhere Monday morning to work. So I know it's going to be tough on the Aussies, but I think from a timing point of view, this actually could work for the rest of the world. So sorry, Aussies, we're being sacrificed on the altar because, yeah, I can see that a Sunday would be the right time. But having said that, I'm open. So any suggestions as to how we do this differently? This is now going to be a thing. So every month we're going to be doing the NFC Lives. And the mission behind the NFC Lives, at this moment, my brain is thinking that it's really about discovering new stuff. You listen to me talking about things that I find, but the reality is there's a million fragrances out there. We've got 2 NFC members who are sitting in the wings right now. And these 2 gentlemen, they also enjoy finding new things. And so I really want to give the spotlight or the center stage for people who want to talk about fragrances that they're enjoying. You do have to be an NFC member. And the reason for that is that I want to, well, one, I want to, you know, give respect back to those who are supporting the channel. And also, these are people who are deeply engaged with all things niche perfumery too. And so, yeah, I want to do that. All right, so let me, I'm getting a signal here. It is a good day discovering another 2 amazing fragrances and now NFC Live. So welcome, David. David, it's good to see you here, my man. Let me just get some comments. So Ali, welcome. John, scent of the day. Ooh, Havana Gloria. Yes, please. So John, for those who haven't discovered the house of Laboratorio Olfativo, they have 1,000,001 fragrances. They are exceptional. And John's fragrance of the Havana Gloria is divine. If you like vanilla, it's the one you should check out. Fred, I'm not surprised. Royal Oud, Creed, it has to be. I mean, such a divine scent for a man. For those, I mean, okay, so I'm going to say something controversial here, and that is that I know that Creed, sometimes people like to sort of smack it and give it a hard time. I love Creed. I mean, I love Creeds. I will defend Creed. I know all the stories about the, you know, the what is it, ghost perfumer and yada yada. I get it. But for me as a perfume lover, I really enjoy the Creed fragrances. I think their collection is quite amazing. So Argos, yes, absolutely. James Bond is in the house. Forget about it. Nice to have you, James. And Amouage, Purpose. All right, so look, what I'd love, guys, is you tell me what this needs to be all about, man. I'm seeing so many cool, so many of you here. Sean, a shout out to you, my man. Good to see you. Dusita is a glorious brand. That's another one that needs to be explored in a lot more detail. Marcel, you look surprisingly similar to an Australian Superman. He just doesn't wear glasses. Do I look like a Superman? Well, I've got Batman behind me. I was going to put Superman, but I figured that I needed more of the Dark Knight sort of energy behind me, and so I've got him as my background. Let's have a look. Taroni, yes. John, yes, absolutely. Emily, good to see you also. Scent of the day is roasted green tea, sorry. By the way, everybody, I was going to tell you something, but there's no need. All right, Divine Frags in the house. Nice to see you. Divine Frags. Now, you got to write this in the comments, all right? Divine Frags is our man. So where I am the guy that is, not that I give love to everything, and just a heads up, I don't love everything, all right? So there are fragrances. The difference is this, that I don't want to, if I don't like it, I just want to talk about it. And that's just sort of keeps it nice and simple. Okay, so why do I do that? The reason why I do that is creativity is hard. And that's no matter what you're going to do, whether you write a short story, whether you are creating a perfume. I've had a chance to be with a few perfumers, and creating a perfume is like ridiculously complex. So I never talk bad about anything because I don't understand that creator's journey of having to create that thing. And so for me, someone who doesn't have that experience in that field, I don't want to sort of say anything. So I don't talk about stuff that I don't like. I love, but the stuff that I do talk about, I like, woo, I really sort of promote and really sort of, I want to share the love of these particular fragrances that I'm discovering. So when Divine Frag writes, he brings balance to the conversation. So those people, if you wanted to know, what's the, I guess the balanced view, Divine Frag has an awesome understanding and knowledge. I don't know how big his collection is, but it could just be, I'm guessing it's a he. So Divine, right in. Well, anyway, it's a person. So I really love that interjection that he comes in or she comes in with these comments and there it is. I sold you a little bit of Divine because follow him, follow this guy, follow this person. All right, what else we got? Boom, boom, zoologist. Zoologist is another one that I think I sampled last week. I really need to get into. So I will be exploring these guys more. I promise. And there's Ed. So Edward has just put in a comment that Divine, and so Ed is another guy. He's a local man here in Melbourne. I love Ed's comments too. Ed's knowledge on perfumery is exceptional. And so I love that these two gentlemen, Ed and Divine Frags, also contribute quite a bit, which I'm appreciative for. Allora, okay, so what I want to do, I think that's enough for me. Before I go any further, I am going to tell you what I'm wearing today. New fragrance that I discovered. I'm not sure whether you guys saw the video that we did, Sandra and I, when it comes to unboxing and discovering the Torino 23. Now, I've been wearing this for the last 3 days, consistent, which for me is like saying, what is that? I don't know. But that's an impossible feat. I don't like wearing a fragrance more than once. I'd like to rotate them through. 3 days, because I really wanted to check it out in different weather conditions. There was one, I mentioned during that video that it's a good summer fragrance. It's not actually a good summer fragrance. We had here in Melbourne an extremely hot day, and it was the white florals and that patchouli sort of more woody green base was too much. It was blowing my brain. And also it didn't last really well on skin. I felt like in that high heat, it really sort of went away on me. Then the next few days, I'm getting comments coming through, but I'll read them in a minute. Let me just keep telling you about this guy. Then in the next few days, it was a lot more moderate. Now, this fragrance I have fallen in love with, all right? It is potent. One day, Sandra and I went out walking. It was just a very pleasant day, probably about, I don't know what this is in Fahrenheit, but in Celsius, it's about 24, 25, so very pleasant, very mild. I only put on 2 sprays, and this thing, it was like just going everywhere. If you like white florals, in particular for me, the tuberose, ylang ylang combination is very distinct. There is a patchouli touch to it, but it's very mild, to my opinion. Somebody compared this, and I have to agree, somebody compared this to going to the opera, all right? And it's definitely a It's a refined, it's a going out fragrance. It can easily be an office fragrance. It'll last you 24 hours. I wake up in the morning and I am smelling this. Admittedly, I have, like I said, 3 days of it. I do shower every day. So, I mean, I'm ideally washing this off, but I am smelling, I wake up in the morning and I can smell it on my arm. I only do 3 sprays, but on this particular day, as I said, I only did 2 and it was still just potent. So if those who are not sure, and I know that I always say, what is it? The Spartans of the frag.com world are those who love to blind buy. I blind bought this, but I already knew. I mean, it's a Zerja, for crying out loud. I mean, it's a really good fragrance. I rate it. I will do a lineup of all 3 of these because it is different to T1, T21, sorry. But as a standalone, as a fragrance, I like it. I like it a lot. All right, enough of me. Boop. We are now going to, I want to introduce to you an awesome friend of mine, Max, local man. Now, let me give you a little bit of a background. I would love, so I know Max probably might not say this, but I'm going to say it. I'd love you guys to follow his Instagram account. He is always, if you're looking for new things, this man is always hunting down new houses. He actually reaches out to these individuals, starts a correspondence, and they actually organize for samples to be sent. Australia, I've always joked about it, but it's not really a joke. We are so far away. We get stuff so late. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Max. The floor is yours. I'm going to shut up now.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So I think, yeah, Marcelo's right. I don't know how exactly this happened, but I fell down that rabbit hole deep very, very quickly. I first started with Creed. You know, you can't get past Aventus as being the gateway drug to the world of niche. But once my eyes were opened, again, through a mutual friend of ours with Oligarch and Kev, I realized very quickly that you've got designer fragrances, the stuff that I think a lot of people go, oh, it smells nice. Then you get into the world of niche, and I think it's partly a combination of the initial investment and going, oh my God, how much am I spending on this fragrance? Combined with just the elevation that you get with going down the path of a niche fragrance, both in quality, but also in exclusivity. And I think it was really the exclusivity thing that resonated with me, finding that people were all of a sudden interested to get an understanding of what I was wearing because it was just so different. And I think I might have taken that just a fraction too far. So if you do have a look at my Instagram page, I really tend to focus on finding houses that are either very, very new or through one reason or another have kept themselves very geographically specific. And so once you sort of get out into the rest of the world, you realize that they don't have the following, they don't have the presence on social media, and I think that's very unjust. Some of these creators are just phenomenal. And I wanted to touch on a few that I've come across this year that are relatively new or are not really pushing themselves out into the global market as much as what I think they need to do. So particularly this year, I came out of the gate running at 100 miles an hour. And in a very short period of time, I've gone back to back with a few different samples and brands that I've been working with. As Marcelo said, half of the challenge, or at least I think of it as the excitement, is feeling like I am a true Australian criminal and I'm smuggling a lot of this stuff into the country, mostly through official channels. But every now and again, it can get a little bit hairy, particularly when you see some of the bottles. There's some changes that need to be made. But once they sort of arrive, I really do try to focus on giving the brand as much attention as I possibly can back to back. So you'll see, if you look through my Instagram feed, I will try as best as possible to have a block of focusing on a particular brand. So the first one that I wanted to talk about was one that actually comes out of Sweden. It's a little brand here, Alexander. The amount of effort that this person puts into the presentation, not only of the bottles, but of the discovery set itself. I mean, I've never come across something that was made of actual wood and it's been laser cut to have a hinge and everything in. He's currently got a set of, I think that's 10 fragrances that he's been working on. And overall, I think if I start from the top and work my way down to the standouts, these would be what I'd consider well above average. I'd say they're probably in the vicinity of sort of 7 out of 10 and up. Consistently great, really well blended, as you would expect from a cold climate perfumer. Performance is just next level. Some of these things I was smelling the next day, without doubt. He tends to focus a lot around vanilla woods. So I know, Marcelo, you did a video of it recently. These are just excellent examples of that genre, and where he can, he really focuses on trying to branch out into, I think, telling a little bit of Sweden and their culture and culinary. So there's a lot of cold weather fruits that get used, and a lot of colder weather culinary spices and things. But for me, I think the two that really stood out above and beyond was one called Astrakhan, which I said straight up to him, it is probably one of the most unique fragrances that I've come across in quite some time. And the breakdown of Astrakhan really revolves around spiced apples. So you're talking apples and cinnamon. It is on the verge of being woody gourmand, but it is just phenomenal. And so I know that one will definitely be making its way into the collection. I may or may not have placed an order, just in case my wife is in an earshot. And I'm really looking forward to adding it to the cabinet behind me, which, as you can see, I've got a little bit of space to grow in, which is awesome. The next one that I came across, and again, anyone who's ever dealt with getting fragrances out of Europe knows that sometimes it can be a little bit complicated. Price is always a bit of a prohibitive factor. I think I gave up on looking at the postage price quite some time ago, because it can get a little bit upsetting when you see that the price of the postage is actually the same amount as what you're paying for discovery sets. But this was a little brand out of France called Mapo. They're relatively new in the space, and again, just the level of quality of fragrances that they have just stood well and truly above what you would expect for an up-and-coming brand. They've got a really well choreographed set, and they're resonating around a story which is a bit more sort of fantastical. They really do focus on having a bit more of an interesting naming convention to help draw people's attention in, which I think is working well, particularly with one of the fragrances that seems to be grabbing people's attention, which is this one here. It's called Banana Oud. And funnily enough, it's actually pretty close to that. I don't know how or what particular type of oud that they're using. It is definitely authentic. But as you would know, for those oud lovers out there, sometimes you can get some ouds that come off as quite sour in the first sort of 15 minutes of opening. And they've managed to blend that with, I would only assume, a banana accord. And it is just it's a phenomenal experience. Absolutely. And so that one is definitely high on my list. I'm not really a Neroli fan, but Bloody Neroli, which is another one that they've done, that is absolutely phenomenal. I can honestly say that if ever I do fall in love with Neroli, that would be one that I'd go for. But the one that really sort of resonated with me is one called Would You, and it just, yeah, absolutely brilliant. I'll see if I can bring up some of the notes as I talk, but it really just stood out to me. The biggest challenge, unfortunately, when it comes down to it, again, is that the price of getting some of these things over can be a little bit prohibitive. So it's definitely on my watch list. I'm just hoping that the world of transportation sort of settles down a little bit more and e-commerce goes back to normal, because particularly here in Australia, we're very susceptible to currency exchange rates, and what doesn't seem too bad for a fragrance house over in Europe all of a sudden becomes up to 30% of the price of the bottle. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. I've then dove into and just completed an absolute hidden gem. I can say without doubt, keep your eye out for this brand. It's a brand called Carash. They're actually out of Turkey, and they've started off with a series of 12, and they are just phenomenal. That's as much as I can say about them. They're absolutely brilliant. There are 3 that really stood out to me. Someone actually yesterday on my final post for the brand asked me to come up with a top 5. I think going below the top 3 starts to get very difficult, because you've got 2 or 3 that are very much level pegging. But the standout for me, without doubt, was one called Havana Paradise. And again, I think with the journey that I'm on with niche fragrance, it's about finding those truly unique ones. And they have managed to come across a gourmand tobacco. It's actually a wonderful, dry, blonde tobacco fragrance. It's just phenomenal, lasts forever. But where most will dry down to a woody base, this has actually gone into a cocoa and tonka base. And it is just... it's mind-blowing. And something where...
right. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Max, I need a sample of that.
Absolutely. I think
Max is my
based
pusher.
upon what we normally do, we will be doing a swap.
Yeah, so Max, I always bring him like Zurjoffs and whatnot. And he's like, have a look at these, you know. And all you need to do is like a big overcoat, go, have a look at these, you know. I got all these too. So Max, have a look on Max's Instagram, everybody. And you'll see that the Carash is the one. And I've been impressed with the bottles, bro. So they look gorgeous. That presentation on that, even that sample box looks amazing. So people have a look at Max's Instagram. He's our scout, and I've said this before. He's the guy that goes ahead. He's our scout bee that looks for all the hot finds out there and brings them to us. Sorry, mate, I interrupted you. I leave you.
No, all good. Because now I'm actually going to go off the real deep end. So once you get into brands that want to get out there into the world, but are just having a bit of a challenge, either geographically or through advertising, etc., you do come across these rare individuals who do it just purely for the love. And I started a conversation with a artisanal perfumer out of Germany. I'd say probably close to 2 years ago now. His name is Robert. His brand is De Vulgares, and he is a true artisanal perfumer. Absolutely everything is handmade. Everything is in small batches. The quality is just phenomenal. Again, being a cold weather perfumer, the actual strength of the fragrances is just next level. Sometimes I kind of think I'm mad for doing this in Australia, where we get up to 40 degrees Celsius heats. So there are fragrances that I keep for those cold and blustery days, and I just recently last week received 3 more, which I've been looking forward to, because Robert went on a bit of a journey over to Thailand, and he picked up a bunch of just really rare ouds. And it seems like with some of the ingredients, sorry, I'm just looking off the side to see the note breakdown, he decided to throw pretty much every version of oud that he came across into these 3 bottles. So the first, which is definitely limited edition, I think he came up with 20 in total, is called Oud Booze. I am a boozy fragrance lover, so that really resonated with me without getting into the note breakdown. And without rattling them all off, I'll ignore the 15 different types of oud that are in here. He does love animalic fragrances, so it's got a actual natural deer musk, natural civet, natural castoreum. Like these are next level. I know sometimes if I want to see some looks of despair from Marcelo, I'll bring one of these over and say, "Oh, just spray this and tell me what you think." What Robert does is more of a homogenous kind of perfumery. It's not something that you can go through distinct notes, but he really does tell a story, and the fragrances that he does allude to when you have a look at the note breakdown, they are things that you can pick up on. So Oud Booze is really about, obviously, the oud, but it's also just a cacophony of fruits. You've got plum and raspberry and papaya and mango and melon and apricot. Then it goes into some more sort of traditional drier gourmands. So there's coffee and vanilla and almonds, and it's an experience. I do have to admit, in my excitement when the parcel arrived, I tried this and the other 2 that arrived at the same time, and it was a little bit overbearing. I think I lasted about half an hour before I had to jump in the shower and wash them all off. So I'm looking forward to some classically erratic Melbourne weather and trying to pick a cold day where I can really give these a run for their money. The next one, which gives you a bit of an indication as to just how creative he can get with the bottle presentation, etc. This is a new one of his called Soul Food. Again, it is just phenomenal. I think the thing that really impressed me about Robert is when I first reached out to him and started talking to him about it, it was just he's so passionate about getting his creativity out there. I explained that in Australia we have very, very strict quarantine regulations when it comes to importing of materials, whether they be raw or through manufacturing process. And before I knew it, he'd come back and said, "Yeah, I've gone onto your government website. I've read everything. Here are the changes that I'm going to make. Don't worry, I'll put together some bottle presentations that actually work for you. We'll find a way." And nonetheless, he's just been able to smash it out of the park and maintain that level of creativity while still being able to get these things into our country. Soul Food is just, again, all about bringing this sort of cacophony of different fruits coming through oud. What I find really interesting with this particular fragrance is that when you first spray it, it's actually quite mentholic. It's got a real eucalypty kind of vibe to it. I guess some will call it medicinal. I know sometimes ouds can go in that direction. But what I find amazing is that as this fragrance dries down, it's like it's almost bipolar in how much it changes. It just goes from one amazingly engaging fragrance to another, and the next thing I know, I'm sort of smelling different parts of my arms going, is that actually the same fragrance? Because it just dances on skin. It really, really works. And then the final one, which amazingly was a gift that he gave me as part of the deal, is one that I've had my eye on for a while. It's called Typhon. Again, it's brilliant. He's got a bit of a story behind it, but you can see even down to the level of what he's putting into the bottle presentation. He loves his wax. He loves his natural ingredients. And Typhon was just... I've been on a hunt for what I call a marine fragrance. So I'm not talking aquatic. It's not light. I'm talking like, the Kraken deep, stagnant water. Don't know why, but I've just always been really obsessed with sort of dark ambergris, things like wet stones on a beach kind of vibe. And this one really does go that direction. He's got some seaweed in there. He's got some amber, or ambergris, sorry. He's mixed it with interesting notes like fresh cut grass and snakeskin. I hope it's not authentic snakeskin, but up in the cabinet, I actually have one that is absolutely authentic cannabis. So I'm not going to put a past Robert. We'll just skip over that part. And again, he loves his animalic, so it's got civet and castoreum and those sorts of things in there, which are just phenomenal. And I guess the last one, just for some oud lovers, and I saw someone pop up that they were wearing Argos. It's no secret around the traps here in Melbourne that I might be mildly obsessed with Argos. I have the entire collection, and for those diehard fans, I'm sure you'd love to see a little bit of this, but this is my little gift to myself over the Christmas break, and I managed somehow to wake up early enough to grab one of the releases of Nemean Lion. And for those of you who follow Argos, and particularly Christian, as a perfumer, he is just next level. His creativity is phenomenal. The quality of the juice is phenomenal. The story around the fragrances is phenomenal. The presentation, again, is phenomenal. It's just, yeah, in a word, it's phenomenal. I did sneak it over to Marcelo last time that we caught up. And I don't know how Christian did it, but the way I describe it to people is that it starts off as real oud. You can't deny the fact that he's using very, very high quality ingredients, and it's quite sour, but in a way only Christian can. It's just blended perfectly. And yet, at the end of the fragrance, I would go as far as to call it almost like a barbershop / fougere. There is a punch of lavender in there that is just phenomenal. For anyone who's sitting on the fence, trust Christian, trust the brand. If you can get into the pre-sales when you can, because they do sell out in literally hours, it's not going to let you down. And for a diehard Argos fan, it just really evokes memories of the first 3 that he made. Truly unique, truly different, uber masculine, and just brilliant. But I think with that, sorry, Marcelo.
No, mate, sorry. I was going to say that you are the ultimate fanboy when it comes to Argos.
Yeah, I keep trying to convince myself that I need the new display cabinet that he has, but as you can see, I just upgraded mine, so it's a little bit difficult to justify.
And I love the fact that that was a gift to yourself. So the other ones that we see behind you are gifts that your wife gave you?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, unfortunately, maybe I do need the financier that you have, because I'm still a little bit unhinged when it comes to buying things. I got myself well, I do look for bargains. So I found myself on a local Facebook group with one that I've been holding on to try to find for quite some time. This one here, it's called Turquoise by Regalian. Probably the best way I can describe it is that it's a more socially acceptable Mega Mare from Auto Prezi, but just phenomenal. And again, in that real marine vibe, I was going for something that was definitely not a light aquatic. It's something that just feels like you've spent the day, walking around the cliffs of the 12 Apostles. It's like that deep, dark, salty, aggressive kind of marine fragrance.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate everything that you shared. I've been reading the comments coming through. A lot of the fragrances that Max is actually referencing are on his Instagram page. So have a look there. You'll see that a lot of things that he spoke about are actually there. So if you want to reel back on some of those comments by all means. Let me give you a heads up though, a warning, and that is do not blind buy some of these fragrances. I'm privileged that I have the chance to go up to Max and test some of these fragrances. Some of the fragrances are like, I look at him, I'm like, what are you thinking about? but he loves that. That's what Max is after, the stuff that is a little bit unique and very artistic. Having said that though, the Argos, a new one, Nemean line, what's it called again?
Yeah, Nemean line.
Nemean line is gorgeous. When I first sprayed it, I'm like, okay, mate. Just the oud and everything else. I went off and came back, and I'm like, brother, this one here is awesome. Because I was like, I had 2 or 3 fragrances on me that Max had put on, that had sprayed, and eventually I'm getting the scent or the sillage or projection of one of them. I'm like, who are you? And it was the Nemean line, gorgeous fragrance. So yeah, beautiful. We don't have it in Australia, so this man shipped it in like a criminal. Awesome. All right, let me answer something. Firstly, thank you, mate. I really appreciate you jumping in.
No worries.
And sharing, and I'm dropping all my box. Yeah, no, all good. Thank you for taking time to share that with all of us. I've actually had a couple of texts come through saying, this guy is awesome. And I have to agree, he is awesome. So thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let me, I'm going to answer some questions that have come through, in particular, Gerben. So Gerben, you asked, and look, I'm reading some of the comments that have been in response to your question, Gerben, about a good masculine but tropical leaning fragrance. Now, that is a contradiction, meaning that when you start throwing in fruit notes and things of that nature, you do soften the fragrance, and I guess it takes it away from the classic dry woods, mossy woods, aromatic category, because now obviously you're introducing these other fruits and all the rest of it. Having said that though, I've been reading comments and I'm like, I love these comments. So Gerben, there's a mine of information right there for you if you want to start exploring stuff that's new. You made me think, and so I've got 3 in front of me, and I want to add actually one more, which is one that Fred put forward. So let me start with the most masculine of the lot. And that is, so this is Erolfa by Creed. It is aromatic. It is aquatic. So you'll find that it is a very masculine sort of leaning fragrance in that it has those classic masculine notes of, well, the ambergris in there. There are some, well, it falls into that dry wood sort of aromatic component. But the opening of it has a melon. So it has a very beautiful fruit note, almost watermelon-like. It is a summer fragrance. So if you want something that starts to go into that sort of vein when it comes to fruit and masculine, I would recommend to you Erolfa. Another one that I would recommend to you is Mise en Cire. The whole house is amazing. Alberto Morillas is the perfumer. If you look at, I once read a comment that if you line up all the famous designer fragrances that you would find in a department store, male or female, put them together, 40% of those was actually created by Alberto Morillas. So the big hitters was created by this man. He's got his own house called Mise en Cire. And this one here is Cologne de Figuier. So if you like a fig note, and the good thing about it, it has a fruity fig, but also green leaf. Then it dries down into a wood. So it does go into a more of a woody, masculine sort of area, but a beautiful fig note, gorgeous for summer, absolutely amazing. The other one here is Golden Woods, and this was the one that Fred put forward. I actually bought this in LA with Fred in Beverly Hills. We were in the Beverly Hills area, and great memories when great memories when I spray this baby. So the beautiful thing about this, it doesn't have so much as a fruit note. It has more of a honey component, so there is a sweetness in there, but it does go down to these woods. It's a lot more warm and ambery, so this would be great as a cooler weather fragrance. Great for spring or fall, autumn, depending where you are in the world. And the last one is now sort of moving from very sort of aromatic masculine all the way down to more floral. I recommend this to everybody. All right, so this is Decas by Xerjoff. It has a glorious tuberose note. And some men get a little bit sort of like, oh, it's a bit floral. When it dries down, it does go into an incense woody component. It opens with this absolutely sparkling citrus. It has a mandarin note. It's sweet, it's vibrant, it's exciting. It is summertime, But when it does dry down, it goes into a more of a, as I said, a more woodier sort of place with that incense. The tuberose note is very distinct on that opening, but as it begins to dry down, it comes off, never goes away. So it does stay very floral. But this one here is, in my opinion, a hidden gem for those who are not familiar with anything with Decas. It was the 10-year celebration of the 1861 lineup of Naxos, Renaissance, and Zafiro. So this one here celebrates that. Boom. All right, let me flip across. Have I answered all the questions? I think I have. All right, let me introduce the next person. This is the amazing Mike. I'm going to push you on screen.
Hey, guys.
Mike is from the US.
Yes, sir.
And I've been enjoying, so Mike, you've been an awesome supporter of the channel, so I appreciate that. Mike is also likes to find new things, and he's also a guy who's sort of investigating fragrances that are a little bit different. The advantage of Mike is that because you are based in the US, the accessibility is phenomenal. I know that when I go to the US or Europe, that the ability to just go into and actually be amongst fragrances that I've heard about is very exciting. So look, I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to push you, Mike. The stage is yours, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Marcelo. Glad to be here. First of all, before I start with what I had on my list, I just want to agree with you on Mise en Serre and also the Harmonist, which I have a few of each of those lines. Mise en Serre, also his oud fragrances, Ideal Oud, Perfect Oud, and Golden Oud, are really very easy ouds to get into for anybody who's looking for an oud that's not quite so skanky or animalic to get going. And the Harmonist just has a really broad spectrum of scents. You can't find them in the US. I don't know how accessible they are over there in Australia. But one of the lines, that the first line that I selected to talk to you about, Marcelo, because of you, I got into Paris Monte Carlo. I had received a sample of Ylang Ylang Nose Bay, and so I like that. Not so much for myself, maybe for my wife, but I started to explore the line and ended up with the whole Italian collection, all the citruses. I spent a lot of time in Italy, traveling around on my bicycle for about 10 years, and so any scent that's based out of Italy is something that's always close to my heart. The Perris folks have come out with a line called Perris Portofino. And there are 4 bottles in this lineup. This one is called Bel Sole, Blu Profondo, Fiori di Mare, and In Riviera. And obviously they're pretty much all sort of blue and fresh scents, but they definitely are reminiscent of coastal Italy. And this particular one, Bel Sole, is the one that I kind of chose for today. It's aquatic, it's coastal, it's very fresh, has some citrus, but it's got juniper berries and some woody notes in it, which tend to make it be, a little more well-rounded. It's not just pure aquatic and citrus, and it's really, really a great lineup. I got it through the Perris Store. I actually ordered it from Italy, and the shipping took just a few days. The packaging was amazing. They're just amazing. It's an amazing store. I'm sure that you were there, Marcelo, when you were in Italy. So this is a great line to explore. If you like Paris Monte Carlo, you might try and investigate this particular line. They do have samples, so they will send you some samples. And if you're into sort of more aquatic and coastal Italy type scents, it's a really, really great line. I took a chance. I got lucky and got a sample of it and have explored it and really enjoy it. Because I live in between the desert of southern Arizona and Hawaii, I tend to lean towards more fresher aquatic fragrances. There is some cold weather here in Arizona, but not a lot. And I do have a fair amount of what I would call darker, warmer winter-like fragrances, but I don't get to wear them that often. So my palette tends to be a little fresher in nature compared to what most people maybe would wear. And I know, Marcelo, we've talked about Hawaii before, and I do have a small collection in Hawaii, mostly samples and travel sprays because I don't have the room and I can't carry the bottles. And they're basically just all aquatic and tropical beach scents for over there. Another line that I discovered is Amouroud. And Amouroud, they come out of something called the Perfumer's Workshop. So there's a few other fragrances. I can't really remember which ones they are. There's a black collection and a white collection, and the white collection is called their White Woods collection, which actually is where I started. My wife is Japanese, and so white Hinoki and silver birch were what first attracted me to the line, and I ended up with basically all the white collection bottles. Lunar Vetiver. I think there's a new one called Warm Sands or Golden Sands. It's a little more tropical. I got a sample of this fragrance. It's called Smoky Citrus. I didn't sample it. I have to admit, I'm one of those guys that blind buys. But I tend to think if the notes appeal to me, then I'll go ahead and maybe take a chance. I don't do it a whole lot, but there'll be an occasion. And this fragrance is exactly what it says it is. It's smoky citrus. It's, it's not a fresh citrus fragrance. It's a citrus fragrance, almost like burning orange peel or lemon peel. It just has a really deep sort of base to the citrus and is just a warm, so I wouldn't call it a fresh scent in all actuality, but it's really, really, really just a terrific scent. And it's a great line to explore. So if you're looking for something, maybe try and get some samples from Amouroud. I would say in the US, they're pretty easy to get. I don't know if anybody's carrying them over in Australia. I know Kevin might have. Did I see something? Okay, gotcha. Yeah. But it's a great line, and they have a well-rounded group. It's not a lot of really fresh stuff, but sort of more of a woody tone through the whole line. But I love it. Very, very, very interesting group of fragrances. The next one I have, I actually didn't realize it, Kevin. I think I saw him showing a bottle of this. This is called, the name of the line is Parfums de Elmar. They don't have, I think there's maybe only 4, 5, or 6. I think there was a group that came out a few years ago, but I don't believe those are still available. I picked up 2, one for myself and one that's more of a tropical scent that my wife would wear. This one is called Yaringa, and it's really an aquatic aromatic scent. It's pretty much oceanic. I think Max was talking about, things that are aquatic and maybe not quite so fruity or sweet. This one has that more sort of salty vibe to it. The ocean, like you've been in the ocean all day and you come out, and when your clothes dry, your trunk's dry, it smells kind of salty and dirty. So Yaringa is pretty good. There's another one called Momona that is pretty interesting also. The bottles are beautiful. I mean, if you look at the cap here, it's pretty substantial and heavy and pretty attractive. I'm sort of into into bottle design a little bit myself. I think if you have a display that's out that bottles are a work of art. Having worked in the fragrance industry at one point in my life, the amount of time and effort that goes into bottle design selection, production, and the final product is probably as intense and involved as the fragrance itself for a lot of lines. So there is a lot of bottle work that goes on behind the scenes. The next one that I picked, and this is a line also that I discovered by getting a sample this time. It's Simone Anderoli. And This one is Malibu-Party in the Bay, which is probably their, their biggest fragrance. It's compared to Virgin Island water, but I don't really find it all that similar. It's a very much a lime coconut fragrance. So pretty tropical. If you're going on vacation to some tropical locale, this would really be, the perfect scent to take on it. They have a few other fresh scents, and then they have some darker scents also that are pretty good. One in particular, I spent some time in Tahiti years ago, and they have a scent called Moorea. And it's interesting because it's not really a tropical scent. It's, Tahiti has a lot of interesting wood smells to it. It's a little different. It's not quite like Hawaii. It has a different sort of scent, sort of more of a woody aromatic scent with a little bit of aquatic in it underneath. I think it's a great line if you're looking to explore something, try and get some samples. I do think they have some sample sets that are available, and you'd be able to pick those up pretty easily. Now here's a line that I discovered because of a sample. The line is called Blend Oud. And they have obviously a lot of oud in their fragrances, but they do have two collections, I believe. This one I believe is called the Voyager collection. This is called Oud Zanzibar, and it has no oud in it, so it's kind of odd from a line that's got oud in the name of it and also has oud in the title of the fragrance. But this particular collection has Oud Zanzibar, Oud Marrakech, Oud Sapphire, and I believe Gold Oud. And they're all sort of lighter fragrances that are pretty easy to wear. I've got one fragrance that's a little more oudy called Eclipse. That's a little darker fragrance. It's out of a different collection. I haven't explored too many of the other serious ouds, but it's definitely more of a Middle Eastern sort of oud that they have in them. This particular one has none, so it's a pretty light, easy fragrance to wear. Has some fresh notes to it, a little bit of floral. I don't know, worth exploration, I would say. Next, I want to go with Goldfield and Banks. This is Silky Woods Elixir. I had the pleasure of living in Australia. I lived in Sydney for a while years ago. I had the opportunity to explore bits of Australia, including places that Marcelo hasn't been, in Central Australia. And I just had to have this. I enjoyed Silky Woods. I actually like Desert Rosewood as one of my favorites. I know it's not one of the more popular G&B fragrances, but Desert Rosewood and Silky Woods Elixir remind me of the more central part of Australia. Just the wood smell in this. This is really deep, dark, rich. Has Australian oud, which is farmed up in Queensland in a very secret location, evidently. And it's a dark, deep, rich scent. I don't know if it's for everybody, but I found it really, really pleasant. And for cold weather here, the few cold days we've had here in the last month or so, I've thrown it on and it's pretty spectacular. The bottle's not too shabby either. It's sort of this dark, rich, mirrored finish that they have. And I have every fragrance from Goldfield and Banks. I also have to admit I have every Creed fragrance. So like both Max and Marcelo, that's the starting point. And I tend to find if a line appeals to you, generally you'll find a lot within the line that you would enjoy, and tends to be what happens with me. There's some where I maybe only have one fragrance, and and that's it. It just stands out for some reason. But seems maybe it's the perfumer, and maybe his nose and your nose have some sort of similarity, so that what he produces. If you like one or two of his, you might probably like anything and everything that he does, because there's a similar sort of palette that you have in particular. Another new one is Coctails and Catamarans by Scent Journey. Again, I think I received a sample of this. I'm not. Scent Explore is an event that's in New York in December. And I believe it started in 2019. They had one live one, and then COVID came, and the rest of them up until last year were, sort of Zoom type situations. And you could order sample kits. So that was a great place where probably in the 3 years that I did it, I maybe had 100 samples of some really great niche fragrances. And that's another, look for events like that where, for $30, you got like $200 worth of samples. And it provided, you a way to explore one fragrance from a line, maybe two. And, if you like it, then you can reach out to the company. They're happy in those situations to send you lots of samples and you can try them. But this was another one from a sample like that. And I think Kevin just started carrying this. I thought I saw him showing Coctails and Catamarans. Again, it's a, aquatic tropical sort of fragrance, but this one reminds me of the Caribbean. It's not tropical in a mango, coconut, pineapple sort of way. It's more like a eucalyptus, and the Bahama also has different vegetation. It's not tropical in the sense that Hawaii, might be tropical with mangoes and papayas and passion fruit and lily koi and all that. So as an aquatic fragrance, this to me is more like a sailing, obviously Coctails and Catamarans, sand, surf, salt water, pretty good. I'd say it's a pretty decent aquatic fragrance. Let's see, what else do I have here? There's another one I picked out. This is another line I got into. This is Micallef. This is gin tonic. And it's actually probably the 5th fragrance I had picked up from them. I started with Osaito. Again, it has sort of a Japanese feel. It's an aquatic and mineral sort of fragrance, and it reminded me of something in Japan. I'm not sure what it was that was doing it. Eden Falls is another one. Desert Toxic. Red Colorado is a darker fragrance that they did, and then Gin Tonic came out, and this is really, really a pleasant fragrance. It's not tropical in the sense that these other fragrances are. It does start off smelling like a gin and tonic or a mojito, but in hot weather, in the desert here in the summer, when it's 110 sometimes, which I think is 40 something Celsius, if I'm not mistaken. This is really refreshing. You put this on and it just really, really just helps to sort of keep you cool, keep you, sort of not feeling the heat so much, and performs pretty well in the heat also. So that's a great line. This is, I think it's called the Jewel Collection. This one is not in the Jewel Collection, but the others are. Another line that I think is well worth your trouble to check out. I like them a lot. And let's see. This is an oldie but a goodie. It's Acqua di Parma. Where are we? There we go. Acqua di Parma, which this is the first fragrance I smelled. It reminded me of Italy, so I bought them all. The whole Blue Mediterranean line. And have not been disappointed by them. This is Fico di Amalfi. If you like fig, and I know not everybody does, but if you like fig, it's fig, but it's the fruit and the tree, the leaf and the tree. And this is Italy. This is Italy in a bottle. This takes, every time I smell this, it reminds me of being in Tuscany or some place, you know, along the, maybe along the Adriatic coast. I don't, just, it's Italy in a bottle. That's the whole line. And they're not the longest lasting fragrances, and it's not anything new. They've been around forever and ever, but just a great lineup. If you love Italian fragrances, if you love Italy, you can't go wrong with Acqua di Parma. I mean, you have, you know, Essenza, which is, you know, like the old barbershop cologne from the early 1900s, and Colonia, I'm sorry. Essenza is the newer version of it, but Acqua di Parma is really, really a great line to go with. And then the last one is relatively new, and it's Zaharoff Halfeti Signature Black Rose. And I'm not a rose guy. I mean, I bought rosé, Signature Rosé, and immediately gave it to my wife. But this fragrance is pretty amazing. I smelled it and just went, this is the most incredible fragrance I think I've ever smelled. And there's rose, but it's not rose for the sake of rose. It's in there, but it's just a warm, deep, dark, wonderful fragrance, rich, and lasts at least 12 hours, if not more. I mean, I think I sprayed it, the first couple of times I sprayed it on a test strip. 2 days later, the test strip was sitting on my desk. I could still smell it. I sprayed it on skin and in the crook of my elbow. And when I woke up the next morning, I could still smell it. So if you're looking for something that lasts, something really unique, I mean, an evening fragrance for sure. I mean, I don't know that I'd wear this in the daytime too much, but you know, a night out, it's definitely a special, rich, lovely fragrance. And that's the selection I have for today.
I love it. I mean, honestly, so where Max is a hunter of unique and artistic expressions of perfumery. So if you like, you really want to explore. And actually, for those people who are loving all things Nasomatto, Orto Parisi, I mean, that's your starting block with all the fragrance that Max enjoys. Actually, I'm going to push all you boys on screen.
Yeah.
Boom.
And by the way, I want to just mention that because of you, I tried Mega Mare.
Right.
Marcelo. I don't understand why everybody thinks it's so difficult. I find, maybe it's the ocean in me, you know, the Hawaiian.
Right. Well, the fact that you're constantly referring to that you love these aquatic fragrances, that you love all that ocean and all that component. So I mean, I know for me, when I first tested Mega Mare, the opening was divine. I'm like, whoa, summertime, glorious, little bit of the, you know, the sea breeze. Then it went into, where are we going? It was algae and deep sea and rotting, you know. I'm like, I had to wash it off. I couldn't wear it.
Interesting.
It was like blowing my brain. But then discovered the magic of it. But going back, Max loves, his starting place is these more intense artistic and, you know, exploration of perfume as art. All the ones that you put forward, Mike, are awesome for somebody getting new into niche perfumery. All right. So actually every single one of them, well, I'm like, yep, glorious, yep, amazing, yep. So if you want to just wear now fragrance for yourself or those around you, not that Max's ones are not for those people around you. So Max, but
I have I'm looking at some of the ones, now Max has got me thinking.
Yeah, we can't hear you, bro. Your mic's not on.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, thanks. Put myself on mute.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I have the advantage of working from home. So where most people have to be socially acceptable, as long as I don't have my two little fur babies getting offended or gagging in the corner, I can pretty much wear whatever I want. Oh, no, she goes off to work. I'm fine.
Oh, right. Okay, so she's okay. Yeah.
That's my situation also.
Yeah.
Good
to see that you called out the old Halfeti Black Rose. God, it is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's wonderful as a fragrance.
Yeah, and let me just add to that, that girls or boys, I mean, I know that women love their florals in their fragrance. There is the advantage that you have here is because it is a black rose, that you have some masculine notes in there, such as lavender is a big part in this fragrance. So there is a very high dose of lavender in this particular fragrance, which gives it that aromatic masculine edge. Interestingly, you saying you can't wear it in summer. I actually was wearing it in high heat here in Melbourne, and it was amazing. That aromatic lavender, the rose, glorious fragrance, and everything that you said, Mike, is on point.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I'll have to try it. I mean, I'm going by. Oh, I don't think I'd want to wear this in the high heat, but yeah, I would give it.
I would try it. I actually had a. I'm about to do. We did some filming with a young man, 17 years old. He's crazy into niche perfumery, and I gave him the bottle just to test it out. Anyway, he didn't want to give it back to me. He reluctantly was giving, and he loved it. He's like, "Oh, what can I get?" So I sent him off. So we have it here at Oligarch. The handle I Love Rome. All the fragrances that Mike was saying, or actually except one, they're all in Oligarch. So go check out. Kevin will help you out with all. Yeah, so all of those are actually in Oligarch. Ed, I noticed that you put in for Simone Anderoli. Anderoli. I said that wrong. Anyway, say it again.
Anderoli.
The flamenco of a rose of a flamenco of a dangerous. Anyway,
yes.
One of those. That is incredible. That thing is a masterpiece. It will last forever. It will project across, a whole stadium. So that one there absolutely is another beautiful rose fragrance that a man can wear too, by the way. So comfortable. Gentlemen, grazie mille.
Prego.
I really appreciate you taking time. I really appreciate you curating this for all of us. I've been reading all the comments coming through. Thank you. Honestly, this is, when you dream of what you'd like something to be, this is exactly what I was hoping, that you gentlemen would bring forward some stuff that you're really enjoying, things that are unique. So I thank you. You're taking time away from your things that you need to do in your life, and I appreciate you being here. So thank you again.
My pleasure.
Yes, it was fun.
And Reed, I'm gonna just wrap up because there's a few comments here. But Reed, gentlemen, while I'm gonna go onto the main screen. But read some of the comments. You're getting a lot of comments coming through. Some questions. One of the questions that was asked is, can we have like a detailed list of all the fragrances named? So what I'm going to ask Mike, if you can just send me a quick, just an email with all the brands, and I'll put that as part of the comments. So that way people can go off and hunt and explore and or become Spartans. I mean, that is on you. Whatever you want to do, So if you want to become Spartans, go for or test, which is the wiser thing to do. Gentlemen, again, thank you.
Thank you, Marcelo.
Thank you.
Allora, I'm going to wrap up. I want to thank everybody. So I wanted this to go for about an hour. I think we're pretty much on target with that. So firstly, everybody who has jumped in, thanks for being a part of this live, and the inaugural one. We're going to do this every month. For those who are members, I'm going to extend an invitation now, but as we go through, I'll continue to share that. And that is, I'd love to find 2 more people for March. So if you're interested in, if you're a member and you're interested in showcasing some stuff that you're enjoying, things that you're loving, maybe what we could do is next month we have a theme. So we'll do a floral and a more woodier theme. So, and it could be for masculine and feminine, just as an idea. So anyway, DM me. So if you're not connected with me via Instagram, I'll put also the link at the bottom of this particular production. But yeah, now, okay, what I want to do is, a question was asked about a good petrichor fragrance, and I can't remember who it was. There is a fragrance house called Mihan Aromatics. It's an Aussie house. These guys are exceptional. When I started getting into niche perfumery, I discovered these guys. They're 5 years old, and they do things very differently. Very minimalist. Think Byredo. In their design, the caps are all very similar, this dark and white sort of look about them. Sociage asked the question. Oh, Cerciage. Yes. Okay. So this is actually called Petrichor Plains. And the whole idea, these guys work on scent memories. And what they want is they wanted a thunderstorm in Melbourne. And directly after that thunderstorm, sun comes out. And that's Melbourne, by the way. So we'll have all of a sudden glorious day and you're out walking around. All of a sudden, boom, cloud comes over. Bop, we're getting saturated. This storm has come from nowhere. And then it's like, okay, I shaked it off. And sun comes back out and the heat emerges. And so you're getting this humidity now popping. So that's what they were trying to recreate here. This beautiful wet earth, concrete smell, or ash, you know, the concrete smell. It's a divine fragrance. This is a calming fragrance. It does have a sandalwood. They use Aussie sandalwood. The other thing that makes it quite unique, these guys here, is that they don't use a straight alcohol. They use a ethanol from sugarcane. I actually caught up with, so the two creators of this fragrance house is Josh and Julia. They're based in sorry, to finish the sentence. They're based in an area called Fitzroy. And I said to them, I showed them the mate talk that I did with Kevin around Springvale. And I said, guys, we should do this in Fitzroy. Fitzroy have an amazing array of beautiful shops and everything else. And we should, you know, jump around and smell your fragrances as we go around Fitzroy. So their fragrance and all their fragrances there's another one called Sienna Broom, and it's their memory of the Fitzroy swimming pool. So it has this beautiful aquatic, but it has the suntans or this coconut vibe. It's a summer fragrance. I mean, you smell that thing and it takes you to summertime. Honestly, gorgeous. But they use an ethanol that is sourced, or sugarcane ethanol that is sourced from a farm that they're connected to in northern Queensland. Great story behind it all, but absolutely amazing house. I was going to say a freaking amazing house, and they are. Their fragrances are really, really impressive. So if you like petrichor, that sort of wet earth, I think they do it the best, in my opinion. Boom, everybody. All right. Grazie a tutti. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being part of this, the inaugural experience of NFC Live. We are going to be doing this on a regular basis. So members, reach out to me. I'd like 2 members for next month to be part of this live. I'm going to end now. I'm hoping that we can keep all these comments. We have been pushing comments across so they can become part of the video. The video will be on YouTube, so you guys can watch it at your leisure. But on that, I'm going to go. I want to thank you all again. We'll see you guys on the next one. I'll see you on Mate Talk.